Nico Hulkenberg, aka Mr. Cannot Score a Podium in Formula 1 to save himself. We're not speaking about that factor of his career today though. What I actually want to speak about is his 2009 GP2 season, because Hulk had a really strong junior career and GP2 2009 was the cherry on top of that cake. Nico Hulkenberg, by the time 2009 rolled around, had already won 3 championships in single-seater racing, winning the Formula BMW ADAC Series in 2005 for Joseph Kaufmann Racing, the A1 Grand Prix Series in 2006 to 2007 for Team Germany, and he claimed the Formula 3 Euro Series title in 2008 with Art Grand Prix, a series he finished 3rd in the year before with the same team. He also won the Masters of Formula 3 at Zandvoort in 2007 and finished 2nd there in 2008 as well, so Hulk had a fair whack of form ahead him as he headed into his first and only GP2 season in 2009, again racing with ART like he had in the F3 Euro Series. He had done 12 weekend to the GP2 Asia Series in the winter, by the way, which did bring him a pair of 4th place finishes in Bahrain and a win and a 3rd place in Qatar. And just to note, the points format for GP2 at the time was as follows. Pole position gained you 2 points, and then for the feature race, points got allocated to the exact same way they did for Formula 1 at the time, going to the top 8 on a 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 allocation. However, in GP2 you did also get a point for the fastest lap. Then for the sprint race, points went to the top 6 on a 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 basis, and once again a point was awarded for the fastest lap. So the most points the driver could score across a single weekend was 20. Anyway, Hulkenberg did not have a brilliant opening round of the season. He qualified 4th, which yeah, that ain't so bad, but he found himself on backwards in race 1 to finish 9th, just outside the points, and then fit 9th on the grid for race 2, he slid backwards again to 14th. So no points, not a great way to start the season, but there's still 9 weekends left. And Monaco proved the kickstart point of his season. In qualifying, Hulkenberg stuck it in P3 behind Petrov in 2nd and Grosjean, who'd taken pole and had nabbed the feature race win at round 1. He went on to win this time as well after a dominant drive, while for Hulkenberg he claimed a P5 finish to get some points on the board finally, in a race that, honestly, I am not surprised by the number of retirements for some reason. It's GP2. It's Monaco. It's gonna be carnage. Okay, yes, once again Hulk did slip backwards a couple places, but in race 2, which was another race of attrition, he actually moved forward from P4 to P3 for a first GP2 podium, only a couple seconds off the win as well, which was taken by his teammate Pastor Maldonado. A much better weekend than Spain then. Know that that's a particularly difficult task to achieve. But round 3 in his after Istanbul Park in Turkey, where things only got better for the young German, as he took his first ever GP2 pole by just over a 10th of a second. He lost the lead early on though, and Vitaly Petrov took advantage of the German being too occupied with battling with Luca Filippi, and Hulkenberg did eventually finish in P5 after also losing places to Davide Valsecchi and Alberto Valerio. This is yet another race of attrition. 11 drivers retired. He did better in race 2 though, where he crossed the line in P4 for a double points finish for the weekend, promoting Hulkenberg up into the top 5 of the standings on 17 points, tied on points with his teammate Maldonado, and 16 off the championship lead, which was held by the man who in 2010 would annoy the crap out of Fernando Alonso in the final round of the F1 season. Silverstone would play host to round 4, where Nico stuck his ART 7th on the grid. An okay qualifying, but it would lead to an even better feature race where he'd move forward a few places to cross the finish line in P3, and he scored the fastest lap to boot, which is always nice because points mean prizes. He'd pick up Toimer in the sprint race, which had been won by his teammate, meaning that Hulkenberg did move up a place in the standings to 4th, now on 26 points, and he and Pastor were still level on points, 14 after Grosjean in the lead. Now you may be thinking, with the results so far, yeah, this is consistent, it's a consistent season, but it's nothing spectacular. We'll hide your horses, because now we get to Nico's home round in Germany at the Nürburgring, and this was the true turning point of the season because Hulk dominated the 5th weekend of the season. Pole by just under a 10th in qualifying, and then in the feature race he claimed his first GP2 race victory with the fastest lap, and by 14 seconds he won that race, by the way, which is mad, and that gave him a P8 start for the sprint race. And if you think his feature race win by 14 seconds was nuts, he scored the fastest lap again and did the double and won the sprint race as well by 26.5 seconds. Now that's right there, winning by 26 seconds after starting 8th on the grid in a 21 lap race with no mandatory pit stop in a quote unquote spec series. That is nuts. Okay, seriously, how the hell did this man never score an F1 podium? Scoring a maximum of 20 points in total in Germany meant that Hulkenberg leapt from 4th in the standings on 26 points to the championship lead on 46 points, 4 ahead of Grosjean, for whom the next round in Hungary would be his last GP2 race of 2009 because Renault binned Piquet Jr. after Hungary. At side weekend in Hungary, Hulk stuck at P5 in qualifying. Not so bad, but he whizzed starting a hint Vitaly Petrov, who qualified P2 and was just 5 points behind him in the championship. But what matters is where you end the race and know where you started, because it's at the end of the race where the points come, unless you stick it on pole. And he finished the first race of the weekend with his 3rd consecutive win, while the two all closest to him in the championship both failed to score, which is exactly what Hulk did in the sprint race. He finished P7, 1 place behind the final points paying position, but nonetheless he left Hungary having extended his championship lead to a 12-point lead over Grosjean. But given, as I said, he wouldn't be racing in GP2 2009 beyond this point, Hulkenberg's nearest challenger was now Vitaly Petrov, whom he had a 16-point lead over. Less than one weekend's maximum points, yeah, but it was still a really solid lead. Onwards to Recife in Valencia, and after his non-score in the Hungary sprint, Hulk was right back on form. The only thing he missed this weekend was the feature race win, of which he was only 4/10 off, though he finished 2nd there with the fastest lap after claiming pole position and topping free practice before going on to win the sprint race by 11.6 seconds with the fastest lap again, for a very strong weekend that he left with a 20-point lead in the standings. Now this 20-point lead meant that at round 8 in Spa, Hulkenberg, if he scored the maximum possible 20 points across the weekend, while Vitaly Petrov failed to score anything and deGrasse scored, 15 points or less, Hulkenberg could theoretically clinch the title with the 2 weekends to spare, basically. It would not be an easy thing to achieve, though, and he didn't quite achieve it, qualifying 3rd before finishing 2nd in the main race and retiring in the sprint after being involved in a collision. But with a 27-point lead in the standings over Petrov and 37 points over deGrasse, the only 2 really left in contention, it was all in favour for Nico to claim the title around 9 in Monza. To stay in contention for the title for the sprint race, the 2nd race of the weekend, then in the feature race, Petrov and deGrasse would have to make sure their gaps to Hulkenberg were smaller than 27 points. So deGrasse would need to get pole and win basically and hope that Hulkenberg failed to score, while Petrov would need to outscore Hulk. All Hulk had to do to claim the title in the feature race was simply score more than Petrov, and deGrasse, obviously. Well, it didn't quite work out that way in race 1, with Petrov claiming pole to close the gap to 25 points and then turning that pole into 2nd in the end, while Hulk finished only 6th after qualifying 3rd in a pretty damn rainy feature race. This meant the gap was 20 points, and with that exact amount left available after the sprint race, all Hulk needed to do is to claim the 2009 GP2 title with 2 races, 1 weekend to spare, was outscore Petrov by 1 point. He went better than outscoring him by 1 point, he did it by 2, finishing 3rd to Petrov's 5th. And with the gap at 22 points with 20 left available, Nico had done it. After 4 wins, 5 additional podiums, and 5 more point scores beyond that as well, Nico Hulkenberg was the 2009 GP2 champion in his rookie season, the 3rd driver to achieve it in his rookie season, with Nico Rosberg being the 1st in 2005 and then Lewis Hamilton the 2nd the following year in 2006. And he'd done it with a weekend to spare to boot, so he could go into that final weekend in Portugal with pressure off. Hulk closed off his title-winning season with the 5th win of the season in the feature race at the finale in Portugal, which was his last points of the season because he failed to score in the sprint, but that didn't really matter. Things may not have always gained Hulkenberg's way in his F1 career, what with him sitting on the sidelines on more than one occasion, never scored a podium, but it does not take anything away for the fact that Hulk had a really solid junior career and an amazing title-winning year in GP2 in 2009. Anyways, I'm gonna leave this one here. If you have any suggestions for other drivers GP2/F2 seasons I should take a look at, let me know, honestly. But leaving this one here. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.